Hey, what's up guys, my name is Dusty and in this video we're going to talk about Outer Worlds 2. We're not far from the day the Outer Worlds 2 drops, and the big question is, do you need to play the Outer Worlds 1 before diving into the sequel? And maybe even more important, what lessons can Outer Worlds 2 learn from the original? To answer that, I went back, downloaded the Outer Worlds 1 and gave it a fresh replay here in 2025. Today I want to share what still works, what doesn't, and if it's worth your time before the sequel lands. Now, for those of you who played Outer Worlds 1 before, you already know what you're getting into, but if you never touched it, here's the breakdown. This isn't a massive open world RPG like Fallout or Mass Effect, instead it's a smaller scale RPG, but with a ton of charm and personality. It's a story driven, choice driven, and it's all about the kind of character you choose to become. Officially, The Outer Worlds is an award winning single player RPG from Obsidian Entertainment and Private Division. You explore a space colony where the corporations run everything, and in their corporate equation, you're the unplanned variable. So the game starts like a lot of Fallout style RPGs. You wake up clueless, a scientist is talking at you, and boom, you're dropped into this weird new world. At first, nothing groundbreaking. You talk to people, take on quests, explore pretty standard stuff. But what actually holds this game together isn't the setup, it's the tone and personality. Every conversation feels witty, sarcastic, sometimes straight up political, and I'll be real with you, politics is usually not my thing. But The Outer Worlds makes it impossible to ignore. The factions, the agendas, the way dialogue mixes humor and dark commentary, it's sharp, and it still works today in 2025. And based on the Outer Worlds 2 trailers, Obsidian isn't changing that foundation. The satire is here to stay. Now here's where I think the game shines. The companions. These aren't just AI bots running around shooting, they actually react to your decisions, your personality, and even interrupt in dialogues. That makes the story feel more alive. In Outer Worlds 1, we had 6 companions, each with their own loyalty quests, their own personality. You can keep them, kick them, build relationship with them, it's your call. And the more time you spend with them, the more dialogues and insight they give you. You can even tweak their armor, weapons, and perks, which is really unique. Obsidian has confirmed Outer Worlds 2 will still have 6 companion slots, but the question is, will they be the same characters? Probably not, but I kinda hope some of them return, because once you've traveled with Parvati or Vicar Max for dozens of hours, you really get attached. That's something I want to see built on, not replaced. Another reason Outer Worlds 1 still stands out, the art direction. Most modern RPGs go dark, gritty, muted, but the Outer Worlds is colorful, bright, and almost retro sci-fi in its style. Even in 2025, it feels unique. Yeah, the graphics are showing their age 5 years later, but that's exactly why Outer Worlds 2 has so much potential. If they keep this bold, colorful style and just layer it in modern visuals, we're looking at one of the best looking RPGs of the decade. And I hope they don't lose that identity, because it's a huge part of what makes the Outer Worlds so special. Which brings us to the combat section, and honestly, this is where the Outer Worlds stumble the most. Now, don't get me wrong, the game does try to mix things up with the tactical time dilation system, something called TTD. You can slow times and shoot people, basically their version of Fallout's WADs, and it's a cool feature, but I really hope Outer Worlds 2 build on it and work toward it, make it better. More abilities, more enemy variety, more challenge. Right now, combat feels like maybe a 5 out of 10. Serviceable, but nowhere near as engaging as it should be. The loot system is kinda the same story, standard weapons and armors, nothing too exciting, except for the science weapons, which are genuinely creative and fun, sometimes. Beyond that, sure, you've got plasma, shock, and melee options with different strengths like staggering against different enemies, but again, the variety just isn't deep enough. Even the stealing items feel undercooked. There's no stolen tag, no tension, you can just walk behind someone, grab their stuff, and walk off. The skill system is interesting though. At launch, it was pretty rough, too shallow, too easy to max certain categories, but with the DLC, Obsidian fleshed it out and made it way more fun to replay. You've got perks, dialogue checks, and build path that can change how quests play out. Still not perfect, but much improved. My hope is that Outer Worlds 2 takes all of this combat, loot, and skills and just pushes it way further, because that's the one area where Outer Worlds 1 feels the weakest. And before we wrap up, let's talk about DLCs and music. With Outer Worlds 1, the DLC really elevated the game. Perry on Gorgon added depth and darker storytelling, while Murder on Eridanus gave us one of the best murder mysteries in RPGs. Together, they didn't make the game perfect, but they did transform it from good to something much stronger. That's why I hope Outer Worlds 2 launches with a clear roadmap and deliver DLC earlier, not years down the line. Music though, that's one area that never quite clicked for me. The main theme is great, the atmosphere is solid, but the ambient tracks repeat too much. It doesn't ruin the game, but in 2025, especially after playing games like Silent Hill F recently, where the soundtracks was unforgettable, I think Outer Worlds 2 needs to step it up. More variety, more personality in the music, because the locations are so colorful, the soundscape should match the energy. One last point, scale. The Outer Worlds is a small-scale RPG. You're not running across massive continents like Skyrim or exploring endless planets like Starfield. Instead, you get tight, handcrafted zones, and that's fine. The game tops out around 40 to 50 hours if you do everything, which is actually refreshing, but Outer Worlds 2 has already been confirmed to be bigger and longer, and I think that's the natural next step. So, does Outer Worlds 1 still matter in 2025? Absolutely. The humor, the companions, the art style, the DLC, all of it still feels unique, and it sets the stage for the sequel that could take these foundations and really push them forward. If you've never played it, now is a great time to jump in before Outer Worlds 2 lands. One last thing I want to touch on before wrapping up is why the Outer Worlds still matters in 2025. Look, the game wasn't flawless. We've talked about the weaker combat, the loot not being as deep as it could be, and the music not quite hitting the emotional highs it should. But here's the thing, despite those flaws, the Outer Worlds carved out its own space. It didn't try to be 100+ epic like a Skyrim or a giant galaxy sim like a Starfield. Instead, it gave us something different, a focused 40 to 50 hour RPG where your choices really matter, where the humor and writing carried as much weight as the firefights. That's rare these days, and that's exactly why it's worth revisiting now. Playing it in 2025 isn't just about catching up on the story before Outer Worlds 2, it's about reminding ourselves why this smaller scale RPG formula worked so well in the first place. The personality, the sarcasm, the faction constantly pulling you in different directions, the companions who felt like real people, that stuff is timeless. So when we look ahead to the Outer Worlds 2, the question isn't just will it be bigger, because it will probably be. The real question is, can it keep the same heart while fixing the weak spots? If Obsidian nails the combat, makes loot more rewarding, polishes the skill system and pushes the music and atmosphere just a little higher, then we're not just looking at a sequel, we're looking at the evolution of a cult classic into something truly special. And that was it guys, that's my replay look at the Outer Worlds in 2025 and what I think Outer Worlds 2 can learn from it. I'll be covering the sequel all the way from now through launch and beyond. So if you're excited too, make sure you like the video, drop your thoughts about the Outer Worlds 2 in the comments, and of course, subscribe for more. See you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching, much love, and as always, peace out.
So, what can I get you? Some soap? Everyone loves soap.